Welcome back to the Red Dice Diaries, and in this GM tips video I'm going to be talking about some ways in which you as the GM can buy yourself some thinking time if you need it. Now, we all know what it's like. The players ask you a question or they do something you've not prepared for, and you need a bit of time, a bit of breathing space to come up with an answer. But the players are all sat there, they're all looking at you eagerly, they're all waiting for your response. And you don't want to let them down. So here are a few techniques you can use to buy yourself a little bit of time, a little bit of breathing space to prepare an answer, and some of the benefits and pitfalls associated with each of them. So, number one, ask one of the other players what their character is thinking about the current situation. Now, this has the benefit of getting characters and players who may not be on centre stage currently involved, and it also gives you a bit of time to think about your answer to the original question or situation. However, it does rely on your players being willing to talk about their character's feelings for a bit. If they simply say, dunno, then you're pretty much back to square one. Tip number two, if your party is split, then say something like, okay, so you grab the idol and you swing towards the window using the chandelier. We'll come back and deal with that in a moment, and then jump to the other group. Again, this buys you time and ensures that the other group get their share of the spotlight. However, unless you can leave the first situation on a bit of a cliffhanger, this sort of delaying tactic can be very obvious. Suggestion number three, give a quick recap of where everyone is in the scene and what recent events have occurred. This is great for making sure that the players and yourself know what is going on and who's where in a scene, and that you all have the details fresh in your mind. Again, you get a little bit of breathing room, but the technique can become very repetitive if overused. Suggestion four, be honest with your players and tell them you're going to need a minute to think about it. People can grab a beer or a soft drink, take a piss break, whatever they need to do, and come back refreshed, and you'll have had time to think about it. This is a great and very honest way to do it. However, using this technique too much does tend to make a GM seem very unprepared. 5, one of my personal favourites, just make some shit up. Run with whatever the players are doing and just freestyle it. Now, this works great if you're comfortable with improving and you have a clear idea of your campaign background and your NPC motivations. However, it can be difficult for GMs who are not quite as confident or comfortable with running things off the cuff. Suggestion 6, ask the players what they think is going to happen and then run with that suggestion. This can work brilliantly with a group of proactive players, and if you have a general idea of a response, but you need more specifics filling in. So, for instance, in our chandelier swinging example, you might say, you smash through the window holding the idol, glass explodes everywhere. How do you think the guards on the castle walls might react? And finally, last but not least, number 7. Wrap up the session on a cliffhanger, and then you have plenty of time before the next session to think of a response. Now, whilst this buys you loads of time, I'd suggest using it fairly sparingly, because constantly cutting game sessions short will probably result in fairly unhappy players. So there we are. There's 7 suggestions for how you as a GM can buy yourself a little bit of thinking time, a little bit of breathing space to step back and consider things when you find players doing things that you've not prepared for. I hope you've enjoyed this short GM's tips video, and that if you have, you'll give it a thumbs up. If you didn't like it, give it a thumbs down, and I hope you'll consider clicking on the red dice up there and subscribing to my channel. Until I see you next time, if you have any comments or suggestions, either put them in the comments box down below, or as always, hit me up in the Google Plus links. I enjoy reading what you write. Take care and happy gaming.